Deep within a forward operating base. Desert, a silent woman walks by herself. Carefully through the hangar. Cleaning an AH-64's 30mm chain cannon. Apache. She is viewed as backdrop by everyone. Noise, eyes down, sleeves folded up. Doing with her duties. She is merely the armory. Technology, undetectable and unrecognized until A distinguished pilot enters quickly and observes the dark and faded patch on her sleeve. Gold, aged, and categorized. His visage transitions from apathy to incredulity. Word gets out. Superiors show up. A few veterans retreat. Other people salute. Without understanding why. She doesn't ever look up. She simply keeps cleaning. From whence? Are you watching this in any city in the world? Video today? If this tale strikes a chord with you, kindly think about subscribing. 4 other untold military tales. Dawn transcends the forward operating base. The vanguard. The air in the desert still contains the chilling at night as an IT professional. Thorne's Zephyrin passes through the aeroplane hangar with experience. Accuracy. The first person in as always. The enormous AH-64 Apache hovers. Its 30mm chain cannon is waiting in front of her. Her focus. The remainder of the base. Zeph works while he sleeps. Her daily schedule never varies, showing up before dawn. To seize these peaceful moments for herself. She draws nearer to her tools and starts the painstaking procedure of breaking down the weapon system. Her movements are economical, effective, and nothing was squandered. Every component of the M230, the chain gun, is confidently removed. Of somebody who has performed this hundreds of previously. Her hands almost without conscious awareness, enabling her eyes to periodically look about the hangar. Entrance. Constantly observing, constantly vigilant. Despite her willful lack of distinction. Look. The sound of voices in the distance marks the end of her time alone. She, still functioning as the initial rays of sunlight pours through the tall windows of the hangar, shedding light on the dots of airborne dust. Young people as the base comes to life. The mechanics come in. They're noisy, giggling over an incident that occurred in yesterday night's barracks. One observes. Zay gives his companion a little prod. Good morning, he says, General Dust Mop, with an extravagant salute. The others chuckle. Zay doesn't respond, carrying on with her task as though she hadn't heard. As she grabs for a specialized instrument, her sleeve uniform gently retracts, exposing her wrist has a tiny scar, the type that is not the result of mechanical labor. She's spent nearly 7 months at Vanguard. Right now. It was forward before that. Running Condor for 5 months and Joint Base Reynolds prior to then. Always in supporting capacities, consistently in the background, the ideal location. Unseen. A squad of pilots passes by traveling to the briefing with a hangar. Space. She is not acknowledged by any of them. Presence. She is a component of the scenery, such as the wall-mounted tools or the warning placards over the petrol station. Simply an additional part of the machine of conflict. During lunch in the mess hall, she sits by himself. A sergeant sets his tray down at her table, then catches sight of her and goes silently to another location. She eats in a robotic manner, her eyes always on the go, absorbing all around her. Later, in the supply depot, she is submitting requisition forms at the moment. A lieutenant approaches and cuts her off mid-sentence to inquire about the clerk's own order. The clerk turns right away, his focus on the policeman, leaving Zay standing there, invisible, figure in hand. Once again, she makes her way back to the hangar by early in the afternoon. Reeve Calloway, captain. The commander of the hangar, comes up with a clipboard. He is youthful for his position with the jagged edges of a person attempting to demonstrate his merit for his role. I need this Apache ready by Thorn. 1400. Orders from the colonel. His voice is contemptuous, as someone could say to an automated teller. And make an effort not to, this time, make a mistake. She's never once made an error at work. Not one time. However, Calloway leaves without awaiting recognition. Already centered on something else. Zay goes back to her job, putting on her work gloves in the air that is warming partially on her upper arm. The matching fabric conceals a faded patch in gold and black. Its layout complex but eroded over time. Normally she keeping it fully covered, although that's challenging in the heat of the desert. By midday, the hangar is bustling with activity. Good morning. Pilots get ready for flights. A variety of aeroplanes are worked on by mechanics. As the temperature rises, so does the noise level. Instruments, voices, and a symphony of military effectiveness. Zeph is still there, concentrating on the Apache's weaponry, invisible in the midst of the action. Major Tavish Blackwood arrives late for an appointment. Briefing. He is a distinguished pilot with the self-assured walk of an individual, used to being respected. The flight suit he wore has patches on it that indicate the tale of a valiant career battle. Missions, unique requirements, and unit emblems. He exudes authority. Of course, in contrast to Calloway's coerced command presence. Blackwood rushes. He notices something beyond Zay. He halts suddenly, almost dropping his hat. Slowly, his head rotates, eyes staring at a spot on her arm. He looks at the patch, which is now partially visible under her sleeve that was folded up. His expression changes from rush to disregard for shocked astonishment. Is that? He asks in a voice that is almost audible over the sound of the hangar. Is that patch genuine? Zeph doesn't raise his head, only proceeds to reassemble a part of the mechanism of firing. After a little while, that goes on for too long, she says. A single, hardly noticeable nod. Slowly, Blackwood lowers his helmet, advancing with increased vigilance. The earlier surge has been entirely forgotten. He murmurs, Eagle Talon Division. Were you Talon? She doesn't say anything, hands continuing to move precisely like a machine. You can't do that, Blackwood keeps going, usually to himself. Every Talon operatives reported being killed after Samurand. At last, Zeph stops working and looks up. Regarded him with abruptly distant gaze. Older than her looks would indicate. She looks silent but doesn't say anything. Him right away. She carries a weight. Look that a typical technician shouldn't own. Blackwood straightens. Almost at attention, almost involuntarily. Silently, I'll be discreet, he says. Then gets his helmet and walks away. Taking one last look back. During the day, the ambience in the hangar gently moves. The Blackwood addresses other senior officers immediately. In nooks, groups are formed, and stealing looks at Zeph. A few veterans instantly understand the importance of the patch when it was indicated. Others feel the shift, yet stay perplexed. Captain Calloway observes the odd conduct, observing from the other side of. He has never seen a hangar as a colonel. Prior to entering the main doors, with two stern-looking men in tow in uniforms without markings. What's going on? A lieutenant is asked by Calloway who just. He shakes his head incredulously. That woman, murmurs the lieutenant. The Apache is being cleaned by someone wearing a Eagle Talon. A what? Talon patch. The most classified division in history of special operations. They were specters. Visited locations where Delta Force wouldn't make contact. Calloway laughs. That's absurd. She is merely a technician. I've been here for several months. Because of this, it's so. The lieutenant responds, strange. If it's. She's not just some tech, she's genuine. She is a ghost. Calloway becomes less confident as he observes a group of senior officers, all centered on the ordinary woman he's been placing orders for months. The women he has rejected and disregarded. The woman who has been upholding systems of weapons worth millions of dollars without never making a mistake. Lately, in the afternoon, the hangar has become strange silence. Regular activities continue, but they are whispered. Eventually, every eye finds its way to Zeph, who keeps working as though there has been no change. A bunch of young airmen who typically make loud jokes close to the tool crib stand in an unusual way. Quiet. As Zay passes them, collect a calibrating tool, they adjust their posture without appearing to become aware of it. Zay marks the conclusion of the day, continuing to work, apparently unaware of the mounting stress in her immediate vicinity. She finishes the chain's reassembly gun, checking its functionality with eased up. However, those who are observing, if you look closely enough, you might see that her subtle changes have occurred in motions. Additional, more prepared and vigilant. The appearance of being the ordinary has started to disappear, while as she gathers her daily equipment, she looks towards the direction of the hangar entrance, where two police officers in the military have adopted positions. They weren't present this time. Good morning. She examines her own patch, pulls her sleeve down to cover her arm. The whole thing. She is aware of the calm days are coming to an end. The murmurs will turn into inquiries. The inquiries will turn into directives, and the preparations she has been making will finally start after all these months. Sunlight peeks through in the late afternoon. The hangar's tall windows, throwing. The concrete floor was covered in lengthy shadows. Colonel Austin Mercer, the base commander, comes with his assistants, supposedly for a regular examination. His grizzled face doesn't reveal anything, like his eyes. Zay is working on the project right away. Apache. Colonel Mercer doesn't come around hangars without cause. His presence alone makes employees stand. Voices should be lower and more upright. He studies Zay's arm patch for a considerable amount of time, then muttering to help him, who nods once, then quickly departs. Zay goes on working, but her nonverbal cues have moved a little. She continues to move. Accurate, but there's a fresh conflict in her shoulders. She knows she's watched, knowing what was about to happen. 3. Officers of military intelligence arrive at the hangar minutes later, having a quick conversation with Colonel Mercer prior to placement. Themselves close to the exits. They dress in uniforms, although they present themselves in a different way. Soldiers who hunt. The regular employees are aware of the stress and widen the Apache's cranium. Major. Colonel Mercer is approached by Blackwood, standing for a moment at attention before using quiet voices. Is it, sir? Truly her? Mercer, we're verifying now. Answers in a low voice. The Pentagon is removing the classified documents. If it is authentic, this alters every aspect of operation. Sandstorm. If that spot belongs to her. Implies, Blackwood remarks, looking in Zay's direction. This should be run by her base, failing to maintain our planes. Mercer's face doesn't change. If Major, that patch indicates that she is. She isn't for a reason. Zay completes putting the Apache's gun system back together. Her confident and accurate motions, despite the burden of dozens of observing eyes. Her hands are wiped on a rag and looks out into the expanding crowd. This is the first time since getting to She stands completely upright, Vanguard no. Extended use of the slightly hunched. The way someone is attempting to dodge. Take note. The assistance of Colonel Mercer returns. Whispers and a little breathlessness. In his ear something. Mercer's expression changes from doubt to real surprise. He aligns his uniform and goes straight to Zay, coming to a dignified halt. The hangar becomes utterly quiet. Even the sound of faraway aeroplanes on the tarmac appears subdued, as though the actual world is retaining its breath. According to Mercer, Lieutenant Colonel Thorne. Officially, his tone resonating in the peaceful area. The Pentagon attested to your identity 20 minutes prior. Younger. Employees gasp. The mechanics that made fun of her earlier expression was startled. Captain Calloway observing from close to the instrument. Station turns pallid. Division of Eagle Talon. Mercer goes on. The midnight operation. Protocol. 7 deep shadows were confirmed. Missions across 3 continents. 3. Classified Congressional Medals of Honor. As directed by the President. The Soul. The Samurand Incident survivor. With every sentence, the mood in the hangar gets heavier. Some of the older veterans look at each other with a knowing look. 1. The Master Sergeant in the rear lifts his hand involuntarily in A. Before catching himself, he saluted. You were. Ma'am, I reported Kia 5 years ago. Mercer goes on. You're here, but why? Zay says. Initial appearance before the gathered staff. Her steady voice, but harsh from lack of use. Since deceased, women are not questioned, and I required the silence. She looks at the hangar, observing each face, each response. I had to vanish while I discovered the traitor to my crew. Your team was caught in the middle of an extraction. According to Mercer, intelligence pointed to a security breach that occurred within Talon. Zay corrects Talon, but not from inside. From inside this base. A whisper flies through the personnel that has been assembled. The Vanguard was not in use 5 years prior, Mercer says, his expression bewildered. No. However, 60% of your employees moved from Zay. Actions were taken by Joint Base Archer, nearer to the navigation of the Apache system. Colonel, may I? Following a brief. Mercer nods hesitantly. Zay turns on the system and moves into a sequence of instructions that shouldn't be available to a technician for maintenance. The display glows with a troop map, motions and ways of speaking. Over the previous 7 months, I've been monitoring the movement of encrypted messages using Vanguard systems. Someone in this place has been completing classified flights, patterns and specifics of operations to a private military company known as Hand of Obsidian. The steps of Major Blackwood. Ahead. 1 defense is Obsidian Hand. Contractor. They offer protection for half of our foreign diplomatic posts. Additionally, they offer weapons technologies. Zay responds to adversarial states. My group learnt about their business at a regular surveillance operation in Samurand. When we have sufficient proof to bring them down, we were wiped out. At least they believed they did. The hangar explodes in orderly pandemonium. Senior. Zay is surrounded by officers as she starts describing the information on the screen, highlighting communication patterns that align with missions that have been compromised. Watching from a distance, Captain Calloway. Distance, his previous haughtiness was replaced by surprise and humiliation. The youthful. She was ridiculed by mechanics who stood at rigid attention each time she looks at them. Manner. How did you make it through Samurand? Among the intelligence officers inquire. Zephs. The face becomes serious. I was split off from my group during the first assault. By the moment I struggled to return to the Stage of extraction, they were already gone. 3 days later, I discovered their bodies. She pauses, clearly burdened by memories. In the way she stood. For 2 years obtaining information about Obsidian whilst formerly deceased. As I followed there, I asked Vanguard for the operation. Go in as a technician here. Low profile and communication access. Systems, as well as ample opportunity to observe suspicious behavior. Additionally, the Apache. Why, Mercer asks, this particular aircraft? Since this Apache isn't your typical one, Zeph responses. This specific aircraft was been equipped with the prototype for Hawkeye, a novel aiming system. System that Obsidian assisted in creating. I have been altering it in order to intercept and decode their private correspondence. Zeph takes off her sleeve's patch, examining it for a while. The dark and it appears like gold insignia absorbs light, instead of mirroring it. Although this shouldn't have been observed given. She gives the patch to the person who has Blackwood. There is still work to be done. They will arrive. You must get ready. Who is coming? Mercer inquires, but his statement implies that he is already aware of the respond. The same individuals who murdered my group. They had been trying to find me for 5 years. She looks over at the Apache. And now, they located me. Like a punctuation mark. Declaration, the far-off sound of an. The base is rolled over by an explosion. Alarms start to scream. The north is that. Mercer claims that the perimeter is already in motion. In the direction of the communication station. Everybody. Combat stations for personnel. This isn't a drill. The Foundation changes from routine operation in a matter of seconds to high alert. Officers yell commands. Employees rush to preset locations. During it all, Zay observes the Apache with composure. The well-structured disorder with the sight of someone who's witnessed much worse. Major Blackwood joins her again. They struck us when the shift changes. Maximum misunderstanding. Typical Obsidian strategies. Zeph affirms. Their primary strike will take place. Team aiming for this hangar. In particular, this Apache has the sole evidence of their whole network. How many should we anticipate? 20 or more. Operators, former members of the Special Forces. Well-trained and outfitted. The Blackwood looks at the patch he's holding then. Return to Zeph. I don't mean to offend, but one. A Talon agent and a hangar loaded with. The support staff will not hold off 20 top-tier mercenaries. For the initial. Zay gives herself permission to smile a little. Major, you're right. She extends her hand into. Takes out a false bottom from her tools. Displaying a little sidearm and fighting blade. Because of this, we won't be. When they get here. As night descends. Zay is seen in the center over Vanguard. Of everything, overseeing the preparations. No longer invisible. Everyone's favorite woman. Disregarded now demands the attention of the whole base. The change is finished. The disguise was thrown away. The ghost has made a comeback to the realm of the living. Additionally, she brought a storm with her. Her painting as dawn breaks over the base. The sky in yellow and amber tones. Zephyrin Thorne is on the aircraft line, observing the Apache helicopters. Get ready to take off. The change is finished. The slumped posture has vanished. And the maintenance staff's sad eyes. Technician. Now that she is dressed, she stands tall. Dressed appropriately for battle, her former authority was entirely restored. The dark and you can see the gold patch on her shoulder. No longer concealed. The evening was over. In a haze of getting ready. Following the first assault against the perimeter, the troops of Obsidian had retreated to regroup. Intelligence indicated that they would arrive back before dawn with reinforcements. The base had made use of the pause to strengthen defenses, and remove non-essential employees. Approaching is Captain Reeve Calloway. With hesitation. His typical self-assurance is gone, a clumsy reverence in its place. He comes to a dignified halt. He cleared his throat. He starts, I didn't know the words. Obviously challenging for him. You weren't. I'm supposed to, she says, her voice serene. That was the idea. I handled you the same way. He has trouble locating the appropriate words. As if I were invisible. What I needed was that. She looks straight to him. As the sun rises, it captures the viewpoints of her face, emphasizing the strength that was concealed and constant under a meticulously crafted mask of normalcy. However, it is no longer the case. The Calloway stands straighter, recognizing his professionalism. Once more. How can I help? Zeph examines him, momentarily evaluating you are respected among maintenance workers. I require them today at their peak. Each aeroplane, the ability to fly provides us with an advantage. He nods, his goal taking its place. Shame. You'll have them, ma'am. He replied. Pauses as he turns to go. For what? I apologize, but it's worth it. Save the sorry, Captain, for later. We have job to be done. Calloway gives a nod and departs with fresh resolve in his gait. Zay observes. Let him go, then shifts her focus back to the flight line where technicians are completing last-minute combat checks. Helicopters. Major Blackwood comes closer, currently fully equipped for flight. The Talon of Eagle. His shoulder is covered with a patch, a show of support that doesn't go. Zeph didn't notice. The aircraft is prepared. Colonel, he says. Then he pauses. Further states, I flew 3 extraction missions. Searching for survivors of Talon following Samar. Canned. No one was ever located. You weren't meant to, Zay responds. However, I thank you for looking. The far away. Their attention is drawn to the sound of cars. In a Humvee, Colonel Mercer comes, with his intelligence team in tow. As he gets closer, his face is serious. Multiple assault teams are visible on satellite. Coming closer to our position, he says. ETA, 15 minutes. We have 2 Apaches. Prepared for departure right away. 2 more. Can take to the air in 20 minutes. We just need 1, Zeph remarks, gesturing to the. She has been maintaining Apache for months. Our ticket out of here is that. Leave this place? Mercer queries. We were told to hold position by the Pentagon. Until help arrives. With. Reminders won't arrive, Colonel. Arrive on time. There are too many Obsidian resources and an excessive number of contacts. Getting that data is the only way to put an end to this. Straight to CENTCOM. Mercer examines. Not convinced. You're discussing leaving this base. I am referring to finishing the task. Zay responds. This has nothing to do with Vanguard. It concerns revealing a hacked network. All of our military intelligence. Equipment. There's a tight silence. At last, Mercer gives a nod. What are you in need of? Zeph indicates inside the command center. To satellite images demonstrating motion in the desert that encircles the base. In red, dots show the approach of hostile forces. From various angles, they make a call. The Obsidian hand themselves. They're a military private company that has been breaching contracts with the government for decades. My group found that they were offering hostile parties classified technology. States. Once we had sufficient proof, they attempted to exterminate us. Why didn't you survive and then report to command? What? An intelligence officer asks. Since I was unaware of the extent of the infiltration. I thus vanished and took the lowest profiles I was able to locate, and Observed. She gestures towards the base. Them. 3 months ago, I saw one of their agents here. At that point I asked to be moved to Apache. Upkeep. You anticipated their arrival. Blackwood understands. Zeph gives a nod. The targeting system of the Apache includes the last piece of proof. I must make their whole network public. I have been altering it in order to decipher their conversations. She displays a schematic. On the primary screen, the system of Hawkeye is not limited to targeting. It's the most advanced platform for gathering data, mounted on a combat helicopter at some point. Each and every message it intercepts is encrypted and logged. What Obsidian is unaware that I have been using. Attack them using their own encryption keys. The structure is rocked by another explosion. This time, it's closer. Dust descends from the ceiling. Casually, they're here, Zay says. Activity erupts in the command center. Mercer starts giving directives for defensive stances. Zeph examines her weapon before turning to face Blackwood. We must to reach that Apache right now. They are mobile. Swiftly through the hallways, the noise of gunfire intensifying. Outside the base is being attacked by several instructions. Smoke emerges from a number of structures. Defense units shoot back from positions of defense, but they're outnumbered. Blackwood and Zay arrive at the hangar to discover it protected by a squad of Marines. The Apache is poised and ready. Systems that are already fueled by the Earth crew. Circumstance? The squad leader asks Zay. The South has been breached by enemy forces. Wool. They are striving for this place. For as long as you can, hold them. When we're in the air, return to subsidiary roles. The seafarer gives a nod. Indeed, ma'am. When Zeph gets on the Apache with Major Blackwood piloted her about them, the ground crew finishes the last precautions in spite of the risk. You recall the combat mission flying techniques, Colonel? Blackwood queries as they fasten in. Zeph gives herself the least amount of grin. There are some things you never forget. As the canopy comes to life, engines thunder. Shuts. Via the strengthened glass. The Marines are seen going on the defense stances at the hangar entrance. This is Ghost 1 Tower, and I'm asking. Instant clearance for takeoff. The Blackwood radios. You're cleared, Ghost 1 Tower. For instant departure. Well done on your hunt. The Apache glides up out of the earth. The fight rages on below them. The enemy has advanced to the outer structures, trading gunfire with the base defenders. This height allows Zay to see the entire extent of the assault. At least 50 warriors who are well trained and outfitted. They genuinely want you dead. Blackwood remarks while navigating the helicopter outside the base. They desire. Zay, what is contained in this targeting system? Corrects him. My passing would only be a bonus. Once the base perimeter is cleared, danger signs flicker across the console. Air-to-surface missile lock. With a firm voice, Blackwood makes the announcement. Putting countermeasures in place. The Apache banks rapidly as flares shoot out of its underneath. The missile deviates from its path, exploding in the distance without causing any harm. We have company, Zay replies, gesturing to radar contacts coming from the east. 2 unmarked helicopters. Obsidian Air Assistance. The Blackwood affirms. Are we able to outrun them? Zay transitions to the weapon system. We will not. Must. The Apache looks up at the looming danger. Through the Zay gains access to a targeting system. The lead helicopter. Send a Ghost to base. We have taken part in. Blackwood said the aircraft are hostile. Moving forward with a mission goal following. Removing the threat. Ghost, copy that. 1. Mercer's voice can be heard in the Radio. Note that there are 30 reinforcements. Minutes out. Zay says we'll be back before then. The targeting system confirms with a beep of a sturdy lock. When the fire was ready, Blackwood is informed. As the Apache shutters. From its hardpoints, missiles are launched. The adversary's helicopter makes an evasive maneuvers, but the lock cannot be broken. The explosion contrasts sharply with the morning. The sky. The other helicopter swerves, rushing back. They'll return with more, Blackwood says. Then we'd better. In a hurry. Zay turns on the specialized system that she has changed in the past months. The screen is filled with encrypted data streams, charting a path for CENTCOM. We must provide this information personally. As the Apache approaches, Zay glances back at the sun as it rises. Base one final time. Everyone's favorite woman. The skies are now dominated by the overlooked. The fight goes on below, but she is aware. The real battle has only barely begun. Zeph says, I've been hiding for 5 years checking her systems for the last time. Finishes today. The helicopter speeds up and engages in racing. Chasing adversaries and racing against time. The yellow and black patch captures the sunshine while in flight, signifying a unit. Officially non-existent, donned by a woman who passed away several years ago. Some heroes choose to live in the shadows. They bear the burden of being labeled realities and unspoken sacrifices. They never request praise, even when they are more deserving than anyone else. Otherwise. Additionally, occasionally, at the timing requests it, they return to the light, serving as a reminder that the heaviest burden may be carried by the quietest of us. Burdens. For Zephyrin, Lieutenant Colonel. The moment of stillness is over, Thorn. Not to haunt, the ghost has returned. But to complete the task she began, to bring retribution for her squad that was killed, to reveal those who would turn against their nation for profit. Additionally, as the Apache vanishes, far away, those who formerly disregarded her and now like her bravery, her selflessness, and her steadfast dedication to a goal that never concluded.